What's up, guys? This is Cinema Crossover. I'm back with a new episode of What If Naruto Was the Red Flash, Part 18. And if you did enjoy the video, give this video a like. And if you're new to my channel and like my content, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more crossover fictions with a twist. Now let's begin this new video.
Chapter 11. Things will never be the same. Late April of 2015. Naruto was in his new penthouse condominium, unpacking all of his and Linda's belongings, purchasing new furniture, and decorating it. While that would ordinarily take several days for those without powers, it was finished in a day by one speedster. Only getting all of the furniture took up any substantial amount of time. New couches and recliners, a kitchen table set, some lovely paintings, and picture frames with images of Naruto, Linda, and their friends and family. The main bedroom featured a huge bed, a TV, two closets for their belongings, and an adjoining bathroom. The second room was converted into a guest bedroom, and the third into a combined office, home gym where Naruto and Linda could work from home. Of course, Naruto being a tech billionaire, the apartment was stocked with all of the latest technology. Naruto even created a small alcove for Kurama, complete with a cozy bed and a giant play tower where he could run around and exercise. Naruto had taken the day off to make some last-minute changes to his residence. Fortunately, Dr. Wells would handle everything while he was away. If anyone had gone into the apartment, they would have noticed a blur running through the entire place until it came to a halt in the living room, where it rapidly put up a massive home entertainment system before cleaning and stocking the kitchen until eventually stopping in the dining room where Naruto stood. He was wearing a belt with a variety of hardware equipment and cleaning supplies. Along with cleaning up and completing all of the moving and setting up, he also installed a cutting-edge security and anti-surveillance system to keep him and Linda safe while also ensuring that no watchful eyes could disturb or spy on them. He also heard from Oliver and the others. Everything went as planned, and Oliver was inducted into the league. While Diggle and Felicity kept watch over the city, Talia was closing ranks and prepared her legion. They informed Roy about the situation, and he took care of Thea. When it was time for the next part of the plan, they'd tell her and Laurel what was going on. As Kurama approached and sat down next to Naruto, he took a glass of water. "So, what do you think of our new home, buddy?" Kurama smiled as he let out a cheerful yip. "Yeah, I like it too, and the great thing about having super speed is how quickly we finished setting up this place. I told Linda I could do it before she got home from work, and now I can make dinner." Kurama followed Naruto into the kitchen to observe him cook dinner. Naruto became obsessed with cooking and had the kitchen rebuilt to accommodate his pastime. Linda wasn't grumbling because all of the meals he'd prepared for her had been delicious. Linda arrived into her new condo a few hours later and was greeted by an exquisite smell from the kitchen, where she found Naruto and Kurama. While Kurama sat quietly on the kitchen counter, he was taking something out of the oven. "Hey, you got home just in time for dinner," he said as he set the table and moved some food into Kurama's bowl. Linda stepped over to kiss him and said, "Wow, it smells good in here. Now, what did you make?" "Osso Buco with saffron-scented risotto and roasted zucchini. Something a little different," Naruto explained as he set the two plates of food on the table. "Are you sure that's enough food for you?" Linda asked. "With your metabolism, that must be like eating a cracker." "I may have had one of the speedster energy bars and a lot of cup ramen to tide me over, but this will be a nice way to end the meal." "Ah, I see," she said, taking off her jacket and placing her bag on the kitchen counter as she surveyed the tastefully arranged and equipped apartment. "Nicely done in setting up the place, and glad to see you followed my advice." "Of course, and everything is completely set up, including the security system. It's a pleasant way to spend the day," Naruto said. "I called Caitlin and Cisco and asked if they wanted to help, but they said they were too busy. Have you noticed how strange they've been lately?" "Weird how?" Linda inquired. "I don't know, but there's something going on with them, and Barry as well," Naruto explained. "What do you think it is?" she inquired as they sat down to eat. "I'm not sure, but I'm going to find out," he added as the two ate dinner together. The remainder of Team Flash, unbeknownst to them, were holding their own covert discussion about Naruto and Dr. Wells. He and Barry told Cisco and Caitlin about their investigation into Harrison Wells and their belief that he was the Reverse Flash after taking Brie Larvin out and talking it over with Joe. Caitlin thought that was crazy, but Cisco was more receptive to the concept because he'd been having strange dreams lately. Dr. Wells, who revealed himself to be a speedster, kills him in his dreams. Caitlin was more open to the concept after that, but when she asked why Naruto wasn't involved, Barry and Joe assured her that Naruto didn't need to know yet. She wasn't happy about it, to put it mildly. Barry, Joe, Eddie, Cisco, and Caitlin had gathered at Joe's residence to discuss the next steps in their investigation into Dr. Wells. Caitlin was still unhappy to be there, but she decided to stay only to see what they knew and then make her decision. Joe went to get beers for Eddie and Cisco, while Barry went to get food and returned with boxes of pizza. "Pizza time," Barry said as he set the boxes on the table. Eddie asked, "From Coast City?" Barry said, "Supposedly the best in the West." "Oh, why didn't I think of this sooner?" Cisco said as he, Eddie, and Barry dived into the pizza. Joe observed Caitlin wasn't moving from her stairwell seat. "Caitlin? I'm not hungry," she said as Joe cleared his throat to speak to the others. "Alright, 6 months of investigating Harrison Wells has yielded no results, so we're going back to the beginning to see what we can learn." Eddie inquired, "What does that mean?" Cisco clinked his beer to Joe's and remarked, "Road trip, baby." Barry remarked, "Joe and Cisco are going to Starling City." "Starling City? What for?" Caitlin questioned. "To look into Dr. Wells' car accident with Tess Morgan 15 years ago," Joe explained. I don't understand. Why?" Dr. McGee said that after Wells' accident, he became like a complete stranger, like a completely different person, Barry explained. "Because the love of his life died," Caitlin explained. "Barry, of all people, you should understand how grief can change a person." "Caitlin, we believe Dr. Wells is the reverse Flash and murdered Barry's mother, and he may have done the same to Tess Morgan. We need to learn everything we can about that night and see where it leads us," Joe said. "Oh, and by the way, can you cover for me with Dr. Wells and Naruto?" Cisco inquired. "You mean a lie?" "Yeah," Cisco said. "I don't understand," Caitlin replied. "Naruto told me he told you everything that happened that night from his parents, who knew Dr. Wells back then. And why isn't he here right now with us? He knows Dr. Wells better than any of us. His parents worked with him for years, even before Cisco and I started at Star Labs. If anything strange happened, Naruto would know. Naruto's too close to this. You're correct that he's known Dr. Wells the longest, which means he won't be able to see clearly on this, and after what Barry learned, there's another possibility we have to consider," Joe explained. Caitlin inquired as Barry wiped his mouth, "What did you learn?" "Dr. McGee told me that despite what happened between them, Naruto's parents were the only people from his previous life who stayed with him after the accident, and that he valued their relationship above all else and helped mentor Naruto from a young age. We know that. Naruto and Dr. Wells have told us numerous times." "Right, but given what we know now, we have to consider the possibility that..." Barry struggled to put it into words because this was a critical turning moment for the squad. Caitlin inquired, "Possibility of what?" "A possibility that Naruto's parents, even Naruto is working with him," Joe concluded, and Caitlin was outraged. "You've got to be kidding. Barry, how can you even consider something like that?" Caitlin said, surprised that he had so little faith in Naruto. "Do you remember how many times he's worked with you and us to keep the city safe?" "I know, Caitlin, I know, but the facts add up. Dr. Wells is the reverse Flash, and out of all of us, Naruto and he share a bond that none of us can even come close to replicating. Dr. Wells is practically family to him, and Naruto looks up to him more than anything," Barry explained. "You mean overcoming the truth about his parents' deaths and their metahuman research, which resulted in 9 super-lethal metahuman criminals who control the world's crime?" Caitlin posed sarcastically. "Barry, Naruto's entire world was turned upside down after learning a horrible truth, and you can't blame him for changing and rebuilding himself. But it's how he's rebuilt himself. He's becoming more and more like Dr. Wells, and the two have never been closer," Barry explained. "I know you don't like it, Caitlin, but Naruto has helped everyone in this room, and we have to accept the possibility that he is working for Dr. Wells," Joe said. Caitlin grabbed her jacket and walked away, saying, "I need some air." "Whoa, hey, Caitlin." Barry's plea was in vain, as she exited the room. "It doesn't appear that Caitlin is with us," Joe observed. "No, she's with us. I'll speak with her," Barry replied. "What exactly do you want us to do here?" Eddie inquired. Joe told him, "Business as usual while we're gone." "Copy that," Eddie said as he took a box of pizza and Cisco grabbed his jacket. To summarize, the meeting was over. "Well, I'd like to wish you luck over there, but I'm also afraid of what you might find," Barry said to Joe. Joe reassured him, "Scared is a good thing. Scared keeps us alive." "Joe, what if we're wrong and Naruto isn't working with him?" Barry wondered. "I'm hoping that's the case, and Dr. Wells has been keeping this from Naruto for years. I like the kid, and he's done a lot to help you. But my gut tells me he won't like that we've been keeping this from him," Joe said. XXXXX line break. Naruto awoke early the next morning to partake in his daily training. He ran from Central City to Los Angeles, then through the Grand Canyon before returning to his condo loft and finishing his training in his office. push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and sparring with a training dummy until he was really sweaty. He then showered and dressed in his regular clothing, but with the addition of a sports jacket to make him appear more businesslike. He entered the kitchen to see Linda dressed up and preparing breakfast. She took the coffee jug and poured it into 2 cups before reaching for a pack of bacon from the refrigerator. Eggs were already cooking in a frying pan, but instead of putting the bacon in the pan and getting grease all over it, she put it on a plate with a paper towel and fried it with a small light blast from her hand. The blast lasted only a second, but it was enough to crisp up the bacon. She placed the bacon on plates before grabbing some wheat toast and repeating the process. Naruto hugged her from behind and kissed her cheek as she plated the toast with the bacon and placed the eggs on the plates. "I knew I smelled the bacon," he joked as he kissed her again and sought for a piece, only to be smacked with a spatula. "Ow. No touching for now," she said as she grabbed the plates and placed them on the table where they could eat. "How was your workout?" "Good. It's just becoming part of my regular routine, and it's nice to do it without waking anyone up," Naruto replied as he took his water bottle from the fridge. "It's good to see you're getting a handle on your abilities." "You were right. A little practice and it's like riding a bike, and even better, I can use them without burning my clothes or needing sunglasses," Linda smiled. "Well, Dr. Wells and I expected that. Your body evolved to the point where it adapted to withstand your powers," Naruto stated. "Not only that, but the overall enhanced healing we have is amazing. I haven't had cramps with my period since my powers fully manifested, and I'm not complaining," Linda said, making him laugh. As the two sat down to dine, Naruto observed, "Powers can work wonders. So, anything big going on today?" "Not really. Just finishing up some stories," Linda said, sipping her coffee. "Some more logistical stuff and patent filing." Naruto chuckled. "The only downside of being a scientist and co-owner of a large research and science center is all the paperwork you have to do for any new inventions, ideas, and breakthroughs. Honestly, it's getting to be annoying." "Yeah, for a regular person, but that has to take you all of 10 seconds. "True. But it's 10 seconds I'll never get back," Naruto remarked. "But I have to imagine all the money you make and changing the world is a nice conciliation prize," she continued as the two ate their breakfast in peace. Before arriving at Star Labs, he went to Jitters to get some coffee for the others. Barry had already arrived and gone to the Cortex to speak with Caitlin as he stepped in. "Good morning," he said, but she was still working on her computer. Hey, look, can we talk about last night?" questioned Barry. "There's nothing to talk about," Caitlin said as she rose from her chair and walked over to the medical lab to retrieve some papers. "Yeah, there is, actually. Caitlin, look, I know after everything Dr. Wells and Naruto have done for all of us, it's hard to wrap your head around this, but I need you to see the truth." "The truth?" Caitlin inquired. "The truth is that Dr. Wells, like Naruto, has saved your life multiple times, and he has not only been there for you against the Reverse Flash during Christmas, may I remind you, but he has been doing everything he can within this building to actually make a difference." "Look, I know, but if I'm right about this," Caitlin said, Barry, and before I believe any of this, I'm going to need to see some proof." "Proof of what?" They wondered as they heard Naruto enter the room with a tray of coffees. We might have another metahuman case here," Barry said. "Oh, well, I was wondering when another would show up," Naruto said, "but I'm open to the challenge. I'll fill in for Dr. Wells when he gets here. Is Cisco here?" "I have his usual." He has to help his brother Dante, and he might need a few days off," Caitlin replied. "Oh, did he fill out the PTO request form?" Naruto inquired, handing Caitlin her coffee. Naruto gave them a weird look as Barry and Caitlin stumbled with a response. "I was just kidding." When his phone vibrated, Barry murmured, "Oh, right, funny, Eddie. Hey, I got a call about a guy selling some of the stolen jewelry from the bank last night. Could be the teller's partner. I think he's made me. I could use the Flash's help." "Be right there," Barry said as he grabbed his suit and dashed out of the building. "Looks like our day is off to a good start," Naruto said as he sat down at the computers. When Barry returned, Dr. Wells quickly arrived and informed them of their new metahuman, a shapeshifter. "A shapeshifter?" Caitlin speculated. "Yeah, I literally saw an adult man morph into a teenage girl," Barry explained. "That's fascinating. Modern physicists have always considered programmable matter to be nothing more than a theory, but I guess your shapeshifter proves it can be done," Dr. Wells stated. "Wait, so this person, or he, or she, or it, whatever, can actually transform into anyone they touch?" Barry inquired. "That would be the dominant theory," Naruto explained, displaying a computer simulation of programmable matter shifting. "Finding this shifter will be a headache in and of itself, But we also need to be cautious about how we catch him. Naruto is correct. If you or he are touched while you're dressed and he transforms into either of you, we risk him revealing who you guys are beneath the masks, Caitlin said. Because we don't know if this shapeshifter is capable of absorbing more than just physical characteristics at this point, Drivewells speculated. Like he might be able to copy our speed? Offered Barry. Dr. Wells warned him, that would be bad. You got it. Keep your hands off the metahuman, Barry remarked. But we have other options, Naruto said as he walked over to the lab and pulled an icer pistol from a drawer, loading it with a full clip of dendrotoxin bullets. We can't touch him, but I have a feeling these will still knock him out, and then we can slap a power-dampening cuff on him and he'll be done. Okay, but how do we find someone who can transform into anyone? Caitlin inquired. Well, I guess, like any problem, you just go back to the beginning, Dr. Wells theorized. In this case, that would mean finding the first person the shapeshifter morphed into when they discovered their powers. Yeah, can you pull up the CCPD records of cases where the perpetrator pleaded innocent even though they were caught on camera committing the crime? Barry inquired. Already on it. Naruto conducted some hacking and discovered a large number of reports. Wow, look at this. Multiple crimes similar to the Diamond one dating back about a month after the particle accelerator explosion. And the first one was? Naruto performed some research and opened the file. Jacob Fisher. A teller at the Federal Credit Union. He claims he's innocent and was framed by his best friend, a Hannibal Bates. Well, there's a red flag right away. You never trust anyone with the name Hannibal. I'll forward this to the CCPD and see if they can find him, Barry said. Thank you, Dr. Wells. I'm always here to help, Barry, Dr. Wells said. When Naruto came to a halt, Barry pulled on his jacket and walked away. Wait, Barry, he said as he tossed him the icer, just in case. Thank you, Barry said as he stuffed the icer into his jacket and went, leaving Caitlin with Dr. Wells and Naruto, and knowing what she did made it even worse. They hadn't heard from Barry in hours, so either the CCPD couldn't get anything or they were too busy with other things. Naruto and Dr. Wells spent that time as normal working on other projects and filed patents. Their oxyhydrin bacteria cleaned up Gardner Lake and nearly the entire city, including the sewers, and was now being used in research labs and treatment clinics in over 20 states, with more signing up every week. The arc reactor was purring like a cat, and there were no problems with the city. Gaara received information that the Manhattan branch facility was being cleaned and refurbished exactly to Naruto's requirements. It would take some time, but once the facility was completed, Gaara had some new employees lined up. He was still in Los Angeles, working on the Los Angeles facility before heading out to scout the competition with Kankuro and Tamari. Naruto had heard from Lucius, and their collaboration was making the Wayne Enterprises board of directors very happy. And he was preoccupied with the upgraded hard disk he had given Bruce. Lucius was working on some new Naruto-designed gadgets and upgrades. Overall, things were going well in Gotham. Their stock had risen in tandem with their revenues, as their processing and distribution of Sterium alone made them the fulcrum of the Western Hemisphere's tech economy, with the Eastern Hemisphere screaming for a piece. To summarize, the Star Labs, Wayne Enterprises collaboration made the rest of the corporate world apprehensive and cost Naruto and Star Labs a lot of money. If they weren't already scared, Naruto's list of projects would make them sob. He and Dr. Wells were developing technology, gadgets, and scientific wonders for the 21st century. Next-generation battery technology, Star Labs smartwatches, virtual and augmented reality glasses to go with his holographic projection tables, artificial oil substitutes that create clean gasoline and fuels, designs for next-generation planes and cars, and after the shapeshifter news, he started working on blueprints for programmable nanotech. His neuromorphic matrix prototype, however, was his most significant achievement. Essentially, he was attempting to build his own Siri or Alexa, but 1,000 times smarter and more advanced. He was developing an advanced computer system based on his own brain scans, makeup, and chemistry. It wasn't artificial intelligence, but rather human intelligence imitated. However, it was only a skeleton of a prototype. Naruto and the others went to Jitters for a coffee break, then entered the Cortex to find Caitlin sitting at the computer, deep in concentration. She was staring at the wall when she noticed a coffee cup in her line of sight. "Coffee break?" Naruto inquired, smiling as Caitlin accepted the cup. "Thank you," she said as Naruto sat down next to her with a bag. "Bear claw?" "Yup. Got the last one," Naruto said as she opened the bag and chewed into it. "Thank you. I guess I needed that," she said, setting the pastry down and returning to her work. "Oh, yeah, that was obvious. I imagine keeping secrets must be difficult," Naruto said as he sipped his coffee, Caitlin wide-eyed. Secrets, what secrets? She pretended as best she could, but she wasn't very good at lying. Oh please, Caitlin. You're a terrible liar. You crinkle your nose when you lie, which is cute but also a dead giveaway. Probably why you stunk at all our poker nights, Naruto said. So, what's Cisco really doing? What? Your lie before was about Cisco spending time with his brother. What's he really doing now? Naruto thought as he noticed Caitlin's surprise and stammering response. He immediately jumped to the worst-case scenario in his brain because she too appeared conflicted. Oh, my god, did someone die? What? Did Cisco have to go to a funeral? Oh my god, if that's the case, he could have just told me. I'm a very understanding boss, Naruto lamented. Caitlin reassured him, no, Naruto, no one died. Don't worry, all of Cisco's relatives are fine. Oh, thank god. Phew, Naruto exhaled before taking a drink of coffee. Okay, I'm fine, sorry about the freakout. No problem, Caitlin said, causing Naruto to smile. Naruto remarked, I haven't seen that smile in a while. Seriously, Caitlin, is there something we need to talk about? What do you mean? She said as she stood up to go to the med lab. I'm not sure, you tell me. You and Cisco have been acting really weird the past couple of days, and I mean a new kind of weird, not our new normal kind of weird, Naruto said. No, we haven't, she said, but he noticed her nose crinkle. Ah, I saw it crinkle. You're lying. He pointed to her nose as she hastily turned and covered her face. Seriously, Caitlin. What's going on? Is it Ronnie, or your mother? No, Ronnie is fine, she said, and my mother is still my mother. Then what's going on? I'm getting a little concerned here, he explained. You know you can come to me for help with anything, right? I mean, I think of you like a sister, so if something bad happens, I want you to know you can come to me for help with anything. I know, Naruto, I know, Caitlin told him and gave him a hug, which he gladly accepted. Okay, I promise to tell you everything as soon as I can, just give me some time. Naruto smiled and nodded as he always did. Of course. When you're ready to talk, I'm ready to listen. My door is always open. Not literally, because my new condo's security system wouldn't allow it, but you get the idea. I do. Caitlin smiled at Naruto, knowing in her heart that he couldn't be working for the Reverse Flash. So, why don't you tell me about this new condo of yours? I mean, moving in with Linda is a big step. It was, but we're both ready for it, Naruto said after a few hours of working together. Caitlin was still battling with the facts she had received over the previous 2 days when Dr. Wells and Naruto went home later that night. There was no doubt in her mind that Naruto was not collaborating with the Reverse Flash. She was certain of it, but Barry's second theory that Dr. Wells was the man who murdered his mother was something she wanted to clear out, so she went to Dr. Wells' residence to speak with him herself. She rang the doorbell and waited for him to respond when she was suddenly grabbed and carried away. She came to a halt in the middle of an empty road, with Barry in front of her. What, are you spying on me now? Caitlin, what exactly were you doing at Wells' house? I was going to talk to him and get some of my own answers, Caitlin explained. You can't talk to him, Barry insisted. Oh, so I'm just supposed to stand by and watch all of you ruin his life? Ruin my life? What exactly are you talking about in your life? Barry inquired. Those 9 months you were in a coma were the worst of my life. I lost my reputation, my fiancé, and through it all, Harrison Wells stood by my side, telling me everything was going to be okay. If Dr. Wells is who you say he is, everything I've done since the minute I stepped foot in Star Labs has been a lie, Caitlin explained so Barry could see for himself that while this secret affected him, it affected everyone else. If I'm right about everything, Caitlin, and you tell him what's been going on, I'll never be able to get my dad out of prison, he begged. If not for me, do it just for him. I can't believe you're playing the father card. That's a filthy pool, Barry, she said. Please, just until Joe and Cisco get back, Barry implored, and she consented. When Eddie called with a tip about Hannibal Bates, he left her off at home. While he expected her to retire to bed, she actually departed to speak with someone else. She arrived at one of the most expensive apartment towers in Central City and had to check in with the security guard at the front desk, who phoned the occupant before she could take the private elevator up. She sat steadily in the elevator as it rose to the top floor, stopping with a ding and opening the doors to reveal a tastefully designed and furnished condo. She came in and heard footsteps as Linda, clad in sweatpants and a loose-fitting t-shirt, walked over. She was clearly unwinding. Linda approached Caitlin and the two hugged. Welcome to our new place. Wow, this looks even better than Naruto described it. Is he here? Linda remarked as Naruto headed down the stairs. Yeah, he's just in the bathroom. Hey, Caitlin. What brought you here at this hour? "Is everything all right?" he said, but she nodded no. He could tell by her expression that whatever was hurting her was important and heavy. "No, Naruto. There's something you need to know," Caitlin said solemnly but conflicted. Whatever she had to tell him was clearly difficult. "Something that Barry and Joe have been keeping from you, and you're not going to like what it's about." XXXXX line break the next day was, to say the least, exciting. Eddie and Barry apparently headed to Hannibal Bates' mother's house, where he had disguised himself as her to hide. Eddie pursued him, but Bates was able to copy his form and use it, along with Eddie's gun, to shoot 2 cops. That, along with the dashboard video of the incident, didn't help Eddie's case, as he was detained despite Captain Singh and Barry's pleas. That meant Barry was using every spare moment to proving Eddie's innocence. Naruto was seated at his desk in his personal office, thinking about something. He had a lot on his mind and wasn't in the mood to work. He dragged himself out of his office into the brain when he overheard a conversation between Iris, Caitlin, and Barry. When he observed Barry holding a gun behind his back in his left hand, he would have barged right in. Naruto went in with his best smile on. "Hey guys. Hey, Iris. I wasn't expecting to see you here today. Is there anything I can help you with?" he inquired, heading over to a drawer to collect some items. "Yeah, actually. I think I could use Star Labs' help to prove Eddie didn't kill those cops. I think it might be someone with abilities like the Flash. Someone who can change himself to look like someone else. I mean, I checked the CCPN archives and there have been over 11 instances in the past year where a person was convicted of a crime but pleaded innocent despite there being video evidence. I think the same thing is happening to Eddie." Iris said as Barry sub, "Do you think Star Labs can help him prove his innocence?" "Shouldn't be too difficult. Barry can help me. He's been helping me a lot lately on projects. After all, he did help me figure out my holographic workstations. This shouldn't be too difficult, right Barry?" "Of course, just like that time," Barry responded, smiling. "Good," Naruto said, turning around and shooting Barry in the head. Iris and Caitlin screamed as Barry's corpse thudded to the ground and the gun he was clutching tumbled to the ground. "Oh my god, what did you do?" exclaimed Iris. "Relax, Iris. It was just an icer." Naruto moved over to Barry and placed zip cuffs on his wrists before placing a power-dampening bracelet on his left hand. Barry's shape altered till he took the image of a man in plain clothes, but his head was blank once he done that and it activated. He was bald, and his eyes were covered in human tissue, so his face had no discernible features. "Oh my god, what happened to him?" Iris inquired as Naruto donned gloves and placed the rifle in a clean bag as evidence. "Here's your proof. This is the person responsible for all of those crimes, including Eddie. I noticed something strange with Barry before I walked in. I saw from the hallway that this Barry had a gun in his left hand, which is unusual because Barry never carries a gun and is right-handed. This is our shapeshifter." "Oh, I knew it," Caitlin replied, eliciting strange looks from everyone. "Never mind." "Then this is him," Iris remarked, nodding. "I need to take him to the police station. If they see what he's capable of, maybe they'll let Eddie go." "Alright, but we need to be careful. We'll take a Star Labs van. That cuff I put on his wrist should stop him from changing, but it's a prototype. I'll be in the back to keep him company in case he wakes up. We can't let him escape," Naruto said, acting as if this was his first time dealing with this stuff. "Caitlin, please get the van ready." "Right." Caitlin took the keys and proceeded to the loading area, while Naruto hoisted Hannibal Bates and brought him down. He placed him in the back of the van and jumped in as Caitlin drove and Iris sat in the passenger seat. "There is a reporter at work who kept a file of these sorts of things, you know, all of the unexplained events in the city," Iris explained as Caitlin pretended to be fascinated but was internally concerned. "This guy unquestionably belongs in that file." "That's going to be a big file," Caitlin observed. "Well, with the Flash and Impulse running around, it's fair to say that we should have expected stranger things to appear, but luckily for us, I dabble in the strange," Naruto explained. "So, you knew about these kinds of people? Like the Flash and stuff?" Iris inquired as Caitlin glanced in the rearview mirror at Naruto. He winked at her and gave her a confident nod. "Well, not at first, until more reports of those speedsters became normal, and then more reports and stories about other weird things going on in the city made me realize something odd was going on and that there could be people out there with abilities. It's what Dr. Wells and I have been doing at Star Labs all this time. Besides trying to save the world, we're trying to play catch up to the growing weirdness." He hadn't intended to respond to Star Labs' attitude and promise on metahumans in this manner, but there wasn't much he could do anymore. "That's why I'm glad I have such a great team at Star Labs with such a vivid imagination. We're playing catch up in the strangest game imaginable. I just hope that power dampening cuff works." So that glowing bracelet is going to keep him from changing into other people? Iris wondered. That's the plan. It's still a prototype, but based on the data I've gathered, it should work, Naruto said. Should work? Iris wondered. I'm 85% sure it'll work, but if it doesn't, he gets to sleep again. Naruto assists the Icer. They drove up to the police station and parked in front. Iris hurried in to speak with Captain Singh and ask if DA Cecile Horton was present. Naruto and Caitlin sat in the van until Iris called them in. Naruto, are you sure about revealing Star Labs and metahumans like this? Caitlin queried. Honestly, I'm not sure, Caitlin, but we don't have much of a choice with Iris involved, and I'd rather have it in front of us now where we can adjust to it for our benefit than it comes out later and biting us in the ass. Naruto replied. But what about the other metahumans we're developing? That's a whole new problem. At least they don't know about us or that they're in Star Labs, but for them, we're going to need a whole new strategy, Naruto said as she saw Iris wave to them, so he grabbed Bates and dragged him inside. When Iris arrived into Captain Singh's office, he was discussing Eddie's case with DA Horton. Iris, what exactly are you doing here? I'm sorry, Captain Singh, but I have proof that Eddie didn't shoot those cops. Again, Iris, I'm very sorry about what's going on with your boyfriend, but you have to look at the facts at hand, DA Horton said. No, trust me, Ms. Horton. This will prove it. Iris argued as they stepped out of his office and saw Naruto, Caitlin, and a creepy-looking man chained up in the lobby. Mr. Namikaze, what's going on here? And who is this? Captain Singh inquired. I apologize for how this appears, Captain Singh, but here is your proof that Detective Thon did not murder those cops, Naruto stated. How is this man proof of anything? Asked DA Horton. Allow me to introduce you to Hannibal Bates, the man responsible for the latest series of crimes in the city and of shooting those two cops in the recent case Detective Thon and Barry were working on. It'd probably be better if I showed you. Naruto handed Caitlin the Icer as he cut off the zip cuffs and used his USB key to deactivate and remove the power dampening bracelet. Bates tackled Naruto the moment the bracelet fell off, only to get a knee to the gut, an ab elbow to the back, and hurled to the ground, where the impact forced him to shift form until he looked like Naruto. Bates moaned in agony as every cop, clerk, detective, and onlooker, including Captain Singh and DA Horton, witnessed what had just occurred. Bates attempted to rush a cop with the hopes of merging his form, creating a distraction, and fleeing, only for Naruto to grab him by the back and hurl him to the ground, where he twisted his wrist and placed his boot on his head, keeping him down. Nice try, everyman, but it's not going to work this time, and FYI, if you were me, you wouldn't have lost the fight. Naruto reapplied the power dampening band on his wrist, causing Bates to revert to his scary blank face form. Two officers raced up to handcuff and restrain him. Make sure that bracelet stays on. It'll keep any further shapeshifting shenanigans at bay. Take him to an interrogation room and make sure he doesn't escape, Singh said as he led Hannibal Bates away from the scene. Let's talk about it in my office. Singh shut the door so he, Naruto, and DA Horton could converse privately, but even with the door shut, they could sense that everyone outside was still stunned by what had happened, and they weren't alone. I must admit, this is new territory for me, Cecile admitted. This is all new territory for us, Captain Singh remarked. I certainly don't think the law is prepared to deal with this type of criminal, she said, but hopefully we can catch up quickly. In the meantime, we'll make do with what we have. Dr. Wells and I have been looking into the possibility of other people like them out there. People with abilities we've dubbed metahumans, Naruto told them both. Metahumans? So, other people out there like Hannibal Bates? Cecile wondered. That's a foregone conclusion. Ever since then, we've been conducting more research at Star Labs to combat metahumans should the need arise. The Icers and improved body armor were our first attempts at that, and they'll keep Captain Singh's men safe, but we're currently working on the next step. Naruto took out his phone and showed them a detailed schematic of the power dampening bracelet he used on Bates. It's a power dampening bracelet. Our theory was that with a low-level amount of non-lethal radiation, this bracelet would be able to dampen a metahuman's abilities. Mr. Bates was our first test, and it clearly worked. I'm ordering more into production for the CCPD and working out larger-scale versions for Iron Heights. Star Labs is ready to help however we can. Thank you, Mr. Namikaze. I'll have to consult with the mayor on this, but I have a feeling this decision will be made quickly and we'll have caught up with these metahumans, Cecile replied. I'll try to get Detective Thon released as soon as possible. You should also look into other cases similar to the Diamond House theft, Naruto said. If Hannibal Bates has had these powers for a while, something tells me that a lot of other innocent people have been framed for his crimes. I'll get to work on it, It's hard to believe we live in a world where this kind of craziness exists, Cecile said as she approached the door. Well, fortunately for us, we live in a world where the Flash, Impulse, and Star Labs exist as well, Captain Singh replied as they exited his office. Caitlin turned over Bates' gun as proof, and Thawne would be released in an hour because of all that had happened. Iris was overjoyed with the outcome, and the cops were immediately chatting about the shape-shifting crazy while simultaneously applauding Star Laboratories and everything. So, how'd it go? Caitlin inquired. Went pretty well. The cat's out of the bag, but it was unavoidable. At least this way, it'll be on our terms, Naruto said. She inquired, how are you doing? Honestly, I'm glad I had this as a distraction, but I need to tell Dr. Wells about what happened with Bates, Naruto added, as Caitlin was unsure what else he would tell her, but he offered her a little grin of assurance. And that's all, I promise. Thank you, Naruto. I didn't do it for him. I did it because I believe in you and I want to speak with him first, Naruto explained to Caitlin. I should probably find Barry, she stated as the two exited the CCPD. She rushed to Barry's house and discovered him gagged and chained up in his closet, while Naruto returned to Star Labs to alert Dr. Wells about Hannibal Bates's disappearance. It appears that our desire to contain the situation has finally eluded us, Dr. Wells said as the two sat together in the brain. Unfortunately, said Dr. Wells, but at least it was on terms I could adjust to benefit us. We all knew it was only a matter of time before the city wised up to the idea of metahumans, and at least with this, we avoided anyone finding out about the Flash or Impulse, or our prison full of other metahumans. Naruto pointed out. And Captain Singh and the DA didn't look into how Star Labs figured out everything. Dr. Wells inquired. I told them that we've been doing research on the Flash and other people like him since he first appeared. We're probably not the only scientific research center investigating metahumans, but we're the only one that's currently making groundbreaking scientific research. Once I told them that our power-dampening bracelet was a prototype, I don't think they were looking a gift horse in the mouth. Well, the situation could have been better, but you handled it quite well. Your ability to go with the flow and adapt to the situation will make you a business menace, Dr. Wells stated with a smile when he observed Naruto was deep in contemplation. Are you alright, Naruto? Yeah, I'm fine, he replied. Today was just too much for me, and I'm exhausted. I understand. I think we can call it a day. I'll see you tomorrow, Naruto, Dr. Wells said as he exited the building. While Naruto maintained a calm exterior, his insides were like a heavy-duty blender set to eviscerate. He wanted to shout until his lungs collapsed or hit something till his hands bled. It was impossible to predict who would triumph in the end. Caitlin found Barry and told him what Bates had tried to do and how Naruto had saved her and Iris before taking him to the CCPD. Eddie was being released, Bates was being held, and the entire city, if not the entire world, would suddenly be aware of the existence of metahumans, implying that it wouldn't be long until things began to escalate. Caitlin and Barry arrived at the CCPD just in time to see Eddie being released and running into Iris' arms. They must have patched things up. They then proceeded to Star Labs to talk to Naruto and found him working on something at the brain. Caitlin inquired, Hey, where's Dr. Wells? I went home, and I told him it had been a long and stressful day, so we called it in early, Naruto said, still working on the computer. Yeah, I can see that. Thanks for doing everything you could to help Eddie and stop Hannibal while I was out of commission. I know he appreciates it, Barry remarked as Naruto saved his work before shutting down his computer. No problem, he said, cracking his neck, arm, and back to relieve some aches before standing up and facing them. How about you? Did Hannibal hurt you too much? No, just caught me off guard and knocked me out, Barry explained. Good. And I'm happy to help Eddie through whatever was going on, Naruto said, getting two head shakes in response. Alright, then I can do this. Naruto then smacked Barry across the face so hard that he fell to the ground like a rag doll. Despite the fact that Barry possessed super speed and could have seen it coming, Naruto also had super speed, so they pretty much cancelled each other out. Not to add that he was already a little speedier than Barry. As Barry groaned in pain, Naruto's serene and joyful look gave way to one of rage and hatred. As he leaned up and got back to his feet, he gripped his jaw and spit out some blood. What the hell was that for? Barry inquired, only to be met with a knee to the groin and a sucker punch to the face. The hit this time was powerful enough to knock a tooth out. Barry groaned in anguish and spit out a tooth as he huddled in a crouch. Why? You deserve far more than that, you son of a bitch. I should fucking show you what Oliver and Jiraiya taught me and put you in a fucking coma again, Naruto warned as Caitlin obstructed him. Easy, Naruto, he got the message, she said, barely holding him back. What exactly is going on? Barry inquired. You know what's going on, son of a bitch. How could you think I'd betray you and the team like that? Naruto yelled as Barry stared at Caitlin, who was unapologetic. You said not to tell Dr. Wells, you said nothing about Naruto, and unlike you, I never lost faith in him, Caitlin explained. He's not working for the Reverse Flash. Yeah. I could have told you that in person if you had the courage or guts to actually talk to me instead of assuming the worst, you bastard. Naruto was about to beat him up again when Caitlin intervened. And as for the rest of what Caitlin told me, the only reason I haven't gone to Dr. Wells is because she told me to wait and trust her. Barry, you'd have to have a brain tumor or be suffering from that lightning psychosis thing to think Dr. Wells could be the Reverse Flash. Look, Naruto, I am so sorry about this, but if I'm right about Dr. Wells, Barry, Naruto exclaimed. That's the one word Caitlin said, that you believe Dr. Wells is the Reverse Flash, but you have no solid evidence to back that up. That's what I told him, Caitlin remarked as Barry looked at her. When Barry's phone rang with a call from Joe, Naruto questioned, do you have a single piece of evidence that can even support your stupid theory? Hang on. Yeah, Joe. Barry listened, and based on what Joe said, he knew it was crucial. Yeah, we'll be right there. What is it? Caitlin said as Barry hung up the phone. We found something both of you should see. They walked to the CCPD and made their way to Barry's lab, where Joe and Cisco awaited them with a big tarp draped over a table. Joe and Cisco were surprised to see Naruto with them. Naruto said, "Evening assholes, what's going on?" inquired Joe. Caitlin informed Naruto of the situation, Barry remarked, rubbing his jaw. Suffice it to say, he's a little upset. Naruto told them, that's the understatement of the century. Look, Naruto, we're sorry, but given the circumstances, we felt it was the best course of action. We were concerned about your close relationship with Dr. Wells and couldn't risk it, Joe explained, but Naruto was still upset. Cisco told him, I don't think that made him feel any better. You're damn right, Naruto threatened, ready to throw Joe across the room if Caitlin hadn't intervened. Naruto, just wait, she implored, and he was stopped for the time being. Barry said you had something we should see. Cisco and I went to Starling City, to the road where Dr. Wells had his accident with Tess Mercer years ago, and found something. Joe removed the tarp from the table, revealing a grimy, rotting skeleton. Caitlin covered her mouth in amazement, saying, oh my god. Who is that? Naruto inquired as Cisco waved them over to the computer, where they discovered a DNA match to the dead body, which turned out to be Dr. Harrison Wells. What the hell? Caitlin stated, this isn't possible. Guys, I did the DNA test twice, and it's a perfect match, Cisco said. This is the real Harrison Wells, Joe said. This cannot be happening right now, Naruto thought to himself as he exhaled sharply, wiped his brow, and ran his hands through his hair. His mind and emotions were like the Titanic, about to collide and sink, but he had to focus as best he could. Okay. If this is Dr. Wells, then who have I known my entire life? Dr. McGee said that after the accident, Wells became a completely different person, and that's because he is, Barry explained. Oh, holy hell. Naruto gripped the table, feeling as if his entire world was collapsing around him. He prayed it was all a wild dream, but he had already pinched himself to death and wasn't waking up. He was trying to keep focused on the current situation, but it wasn't easy. Naruto, we are so sorry about everything, but you have to believe us now, Barry urged, but it was clear he was still processing the news. We can have a lengthy discussion about all of that and everything when my world doesn't feel like it's falling apart, Naruto said as he sat in a chair. Right now, I need some answers. We all do it, but how? Caitlin inquired. I've got an idea, Cisco said, returning to Star Labs while Joe left to meet Eddie at Jitters. The 4 members of Team Speedster were in the Cortex as Cisco brought up a 3D model of the Star Labs building. His theory was that if their Dr. Wells imposter was the Reverse Flash, there might be a clue he's hidden somewhere in the building because he designed it. Have you heard anything yet? Naruto inquired. No, Cisco responded, still moving through the numerous 3D reconstructions of the building's various elements. What is it all about? Caitlin inquired. Cisco explained, after the particle accelerator exploded, I created a 3D model of the building to try and pinpoint where everything went wrong. And you never performed this test? Barry was perplexed. Of course I did, I replied. I really never had any need to explore beyond the pipeline or the cortex. It's a large building with many places for Wells to hide something, Cisco replied. Can we not call him Wells because he isn't actually Dr. Wells? At the very least, it'll help us keep things straight and might keep me from ripping my spiky hair off my scalp, Naruto said when the scans revealed an uninvited chamber built into a hallway. What is it? Brian inquired. It's not supposed to be there. Let's go, Naruto said as he led them through the Star Labs until they reached the hallway from the scans. Cisco carried an energy scanner with him, and as they got close to the area in the hallway where the secret room was supposed to be, he picked up a burst of tachyon particles. "I'm noticing a lot more activity around here. More tachyons right here." Cisco pointed to the wall, but they couldn't see anything wrong with it. Barry pushed against it, but it felt like a regular wall. Naruto tapped around, hoping to find a loose panel or something with a seam that could reveal a switch or something, but nothing. His hand eventually slid to one part of the wall, where he pressed on a hidden button, and the wall panel opened up to reveal a pitch-black room. Whoa. Neither Naruto nor the others expected to see that. Barry walked in first, followed by Naruto, Cisco, and Caitlin. When Caitlin made it all the way through, the door closed behind them before a light turned on the opposite wall, and what they saw shocked them all. The light revealed a high-tech and futuristic display case, ordained with blue lights and advanced technology that none of them had context for. "Oh my god," Caitlin exclaimed, as did Cisco, but Barry felt vindication that he was correct, as well as a determined sense of hatred that he was staring at the suit of the man who killed his mother and imprisoned his father. This was the final nail in the coffin for Naruto, that Barry was correct, and that Dr. Wells, or whoever this man really was, is their greatest enemy, the Reverse Flash. Barry peered around the rest of the room, but there was nothing but the strange braille-like pattern on the walls and a small podium on the far wall. He heard a strange beep, and what he saw blew his mind even further. "Guys." Caitlin, Cisco, and Naruto approached Barry and saw what he was seeing. A holographic newspaper projection with the headline, "Flash Missing Vanishes in Crisis. Impulse Urges City to Keep Hope," and pictures of the Flash and Impulse, but much older than they were now. "What the hell is going on?" Cisco exclaimed. "This has just gotten a lot more complicated," Naruto continued. "There is no Flash. In a crisis, he vanishes. Impulse urges City to maintain hope," Cisco read aloud. "Our city's very own Scarlet Speedster vanished in an explosion of light after an epic street battle with the Reverse Flash," Barry read, still unable to believe what he was witnessing. "With the completion of the city's recovery efforts, our city's Crimson Avenger Impulse urges its citizens to remain calm and collected. He has stated publicly that he believes the Flash will return as long as the population maintains hope, and until he does, Impulse has pledged to protect Central Population as he has done since he and the Flash first appeared," Naruto concluded. "Guys, look at the date," Caitlin said, and they realized it was April 25, 2024. April 25, 2024. Barry couldn't believe it when he remembered something the Reverse Flash said when he and Naruto fought him in December. "Guys, when Naruto and I fought the Reverse Flash at Christmas, he said that we'd be fighting for centuries. Like he'd known us for years when we'd only had our powers for a few months," Naruto said, "and given what we know about one of our abilities, I think we figured out how." "Wait, you can't really believe this is from the future," Caitlin said. "Look about you, Caitlin. Even for Star Laboratories, this is advanced technology, and the newspaper does not appear to be a fabrication," Naruto noted. "That would imply that Dr. Wells, whoever he is, from the future," Barry completed Cisco's statement. "I have to say, I like the brighter red suit and the white on the symbol. Wait a second. That's dope," Cisco said. "Let's say we modify the color of your suit. Will it be because we got our inspiration from the image? That would imply that we are in a causal nexus. Wow. This is as strange as Marty and the Polaroid. Do you want to see something trippy? Look at the byline," Naruto advised them. "Who is Iris West Allen?" Brian stated aloud. "May I say Mazel Tov?" Cisco expressed his congratulations. Hebrew. Ancient language of the Jewish people, a woman's voice spoke aloud as they backed away in terror, and the holographic newspaper story vanished. What in the world was that?" Cisco inquired. "Hello? Is anyone there?" Naruto exclaimed, and a holographic image of a woman's head emerged on the wall. "Good evening, Naruto," the woman said in a familiar tone. To say Naruto and the others were surprised was an understatement, but it was something that was likely to happen again. Caitlin, Barry, and Cisco stared at Naruto, who appeared perplexed and honestly unsure what to respond. "Hello, pale blue hologram lady. Do you recognize me?" Naruto inquired. "Of course," she says. "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze is the CEO, owner, and operator of the Star Labs Corporation, the world's largest and most powerful multinational scientific research and development organization." She described him as the smartest man on the planet, responsible for humanity's greatest development, milestones, and progress in the 21st century. Caitlin added, spoiler alert, also known as Impulse, Central City's Crimson Avenger and Protector who works with his partner, Brian Allen, Central City Police Department, CSI Division, she added. Director? Brian inquired. Cisco informed him, I guess you get a promotion. He is also known as the Flash. The Flash and Impulse have worked together to preserve Central City and were founding members of the Justice League. What is the Justice League? Who are you? Naruto asked again before returning his attention to the topic at hand. Gideon introduced herself, saying, I am Gideon, an interactive artificial consciousness. Sick, Cisco said. Just when you thought things couldn't get any weirder, Naruto said as Barry decided to see if Gideon could help them out. Do you know Dr. Wells, Gideon? Brian inquired. Yes. Do you know who he really is? Barry asked Caitlin, who spurred him on. I'm sorry, but I don't understand the question. I mean, what exactly is he doing here? Why has he come here? Brian inquired as Gideon came in full human form. To kill you, Gideon replied, and they were taken aback. Cisco's phone rang, and what he saw on the screen made him nervous. Wells is in the building. He said he went home. How on earth do you know he's here? Naruto inquired. I attached a tracker to his wheelchair. If we're wrong about him and he's paralyzed, I'm going to hell for that one, he joked. He's in the cortex, ask questions quickly. Why did he murder Nora Allen? Brian inquired. Because he was angry. What are you talking about? That you escaped. He's B-level, he's coming this way, Cisco said. What exactly does he want from me? Brian inquired. For you and Naruto to be the Flash and Impulse, she replied, further perplexing them. Perhaps Wells let the particle accelerator explode so you could get your powers and be heroes, Caitlin speculated. However, why? For what reason, I mean? Brian questioned himself. There's something missing in all of this, Naruto continued. Guys, we have to get going. Cisco informed them, he's almost here. When Naruto realized something, he remarked, right. What if Gideon informs Dr. Wells that we were present? Caitlin remarked, that would be bad. There's a chance we can disable her memory core if we can get into its operating system, Cisco suggested. Right, Gideon, could you please show us your operating system? Naruto pleaded. Certainly, Gideon answered as a section of the wall pulled open to show high-tech laser fields and a little piece of technology that Cisco and Naruto had no idea how to fool with, even with Naruto's super brain. Haha, sure. Nope, that's not going to happen, Cisco said. Caitlin informed them, guys, he's in the corridor. What should we do? Barry inquired as Naruto decided to try his luck with a prayer. Can you please not tell Dr. Wells that we were in here, Gideon? Please and thank you, Naruto pleaded. Of course, she says. I will accept any command you give me, she said, which delighted the others but piqued Naruto's interest. Come on, Naruto, we've got to go, Cisco said. Wait, she says. Why? Why would you accept my orders in this manner? Naruto inquired. Because you created me, Gideon said, blowing Naruto's head even more, and she quickly deactivated and closed everything in the room as it was before opening the door so Naruto and Barry could super speed out with Caitlin and Cisco and closing it directly behind them. Dr. Wells entered the hall and opened the door to the time vault, where he activated Gideon. Good evening, Gideon. Good evening, Dr. Wells, is everything okay? Everything is just fine. XXXXX line break. The team, along with Joe and Eddie, gathered at Joe's house to discuss what they had discovered. Naruto was sitting on the stairwell, as everything he had witnessed in the previous hour had finally settled in and he needed a moment to himself. That was really stupid for 4 very smart people. What if Wells had found you in that? Cisco said, time vault. Thank you, Joe said. I know we've seen a lot in the last year, but time travel? Eddie felt that was absurd. I finished it. Or I'll do it, Barry explained. Pardon me? On the night his mother died, Barry was one of 2 speedsters in his house. I'm referring to the Flash. He was present. Which means that one day in the future, Barry will travel back in time to that night. Cisco said, but Eddie thought the whole thing was ludicrous even with the explanation. I wasn't talking about that at all. I've already journeyed across time. By chance, Barry explained to everyone. What? I was running to try and stop a tsunami from hitting the city. When was that? Caitlin inquired. It was a couple weeks ago. Just before you started having those dreams, Barry said. Cisco. Oh, you mean the ones where Wells uses his super fast hand to rip my heart apart? Those? That's right. What if they aren't dreams? Barry hypothesized. What else could they possibly be? Caitlin was perplexed. Memories. Joe told him, I'm not following. Naruto whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear, shocker. Alright, what if Cisco discovered that Wells is the reverse Flash that day, and Wells then killed him? However, when I went back in time a day, I changed the timeline so that event never happened, Barry proposed. How can Cisco remember something that never happened? Joe mentioned. Because Barry, Linda, and I weren't the only ones affected by the particle accelerator, Naruto explained, drawing everyone's attention to him. The only way Cisco could remember a timeline that has been erased is if he is a metahuman like us, and a simple blood test would suffice to prove it. But, if I were a metahuman, shouldn't I have begun manifesting powers sooner? Cisco inquired, and Naruto shrugged. Not quite. According to my research, not all powers develop instantaneously, or we would be dealing with a lot more metahumans. Some may require specific stimuli such as adrenaline or terror, while others may simply require time. Linda didn't start displaying powers for several months, but it's the only way Cisco could remember an erased timeline, Naruto replied. Are you okay, Naruto? Caitlin inquired, addressing the room's elephant. I just found out that my mentor, father figure, and pretty much one of the people I've looked up to and trusted my entire life is an evil time-traveling speedster from the future who killed Barry's mother and probably killed a lot of other people, he said. I just need something to focus on right now before I lose it. And I have a terrible idea. We must gain access to Cisco's memories in some way. The key is somewhere in his subconscious, Barry explained. What is the key to now? Joe sought clarification. Getting my father out of prison, Barry replied. And how are we going to accomplish that? Caitlin was perplexed. We're going to get Wells to confess to murdering my mother, Barry said. And how do you intend to do that? Naruto inquired. Quite frankly, that seems like an idea that will almost certainly result in all of us being killed. I'm not sure yet, but we need to find out what Cisco remembers from the alternate timeline. Do you think you can work something out for that, Naruto? Naruto just took a deep breath and pinched the bridge of his nose, Barry questioned. We'll meet at Star Labs tomorrow. I might have an idea then, he said as he stood up and opened the front door when Joe approached him. Listen, Naruto. Naruto sucker punched Joe across the face and threw him to the ground. Joe. As Joe held his jaw, Barry and Eddie ran over to assist him. He remarked, yeah, I deserved that. Unless you want a sucker punch, leave me alone tonight, Naruto said as he stormed out the door and slammed it shut behind him before racing to his condo. When he got home, he passed Linda and Kurama on the couch, and she asked him where he was. He walked into his shared home office and looked at a picture on his desk of him as a kid with Dr. Wells and his parents at his middle school science fair, and the smile on their faces and good memories of that night made Naruto sick to his stomach as his shaking hand tightened around the frame until it cracked, and the glass cut his fingers. Linda and Kurama rushed into the room to see Naruto taking down all of his pictures, mementos, and recollections of Dr. Wells before punching multiple holes right into the wall in quick succession before knelt on his knees. Ah! The scream could have been heard for blocks as Naruto remained on his knees. Linda was about to say something when she heard sniffling and noticed tear spots on the carpet as Naruto cried his eyes out. She crouched down by his side and hugged him as he cried and rested his head on her shoulders. It's okay, Linda said quietly. Kurama approached and joined them. Right now, just having both of them present is beneficial. When Naruto recovered from his emotional high, he told Linda everything that had transpired, and she was as surprised as he was. She honestly has trouble believing it all, but Naruto's reaction was genuine and not contrived. She didn't want to think how he was feeling right now and wasn't sure how to help him other than to be there for him, which was all he needed. He didn't get a good night's sleep because all he could think about was all Wells, the Reverse Flash had done and why. Why did Gideon want him and Barry to be speedsters? What was the point of all his teaching and mentoring, assisting them in stopping metahumans and becoming heroes? He could have killed them whenever he wanted, but he didn't and always preserved their buttocks. He obviously needed them alive for something, but what? He stayed up to try to figure out what he could be doing by going over everything Wells has done since they obtained his powers, as well as working out a means to access Cisco's memories. Cisco and Caitlin arrived at Star Labs at their normal hours the next morning, both still reeling from what they'd discovered the previous 2 days. More so for Cisco because, like Joe and Barry, he had lost faith in Naruto, both of whom had experienced beatings at his hands, and it was only a matter of time before he did as well. And given Naruto's affinity for martial arts, it was bound to be painful. They entered the cortex to find Naruto working at a workbench, surrounded by a table of empty coffee and espresso glasses. He was adjusting a pair of high-tech glasses, goggles with precise tools and a soldering iron while it was attached to a computer that was running some simulations, and judging by the fact that he didn't bother to greet either of them, he didn't notice they were here. Perhaps another cup of coffee is a bad idea, Cisco said to Caitlin, who concurred and tossed the coffee she had gotten him. Caitlin approached him and said, Hey, Naruto, he continued to work. Hey. Naruto didn't take his gaze away from his work as he tapped some buttons on his computer to tweak the calculations of the program that was running. Do you need anything because I'm a little busy right now? Just checking in to see how you're doing, she added as Cisco stood back, believing it was prudent not to irritate him given his current demeanor, which appeared to be apathetic. How many coffee cups did you have? I'm not sure, Naruto answered as he welded a circuit chip into place with his soldering iron. I've been very busy working. I see that. Did you get any sleep last night? Caitlin inquired. Naruto explained, I didn't feel like sleeping. Besides, I've had a lot on my mind, and are you going to just stand there with your mouth open, Cisco, or are you going to help? Are you sure you want my assistance? You seem to be in a groove there, Cisco observed as Caitlin encouraged him to apologize. Look, Naruto. I have no idea how you must be feeling with everything that has happened with Dr. Wells. But I want you to know how sorry I am. Whatever, Cisco, Naruto answered, returning to his work. No, seriously, dude, I am beyond sorry. In fact, I don't think sorry is enough to express how badly I feel, he said. Caitlin was right not to lose faith in you. Something I should have remembered. You've always trusted me, and I didn't honor that. I'm sorry. Take a swing at me or two, I deserve it. Cisco closed his eyes and readied himself for a punch that never came. He opened his eyes to find Naruto still sitting at his desk, working on the device. We've got our hands full right now trying to capture the reverse flash, and I'm smart enough to know that now isn't the time to throw a childish fit over hurt feelings, but Caitlin can punch you in the ribs, Naruto said, and Caitlin did, landing a solid hit to his left side. Ow, said Cisco as he rubbed his side. There, I'm good for now. Caitlin, run a blood test on Cisco and make sure he has the metagene. I don't want all this work I'm doing to be for naught if my hunch is wrong, Naruto said. Right, Caitlin said as she led him to the medical lab and set him in a chair. You got very lucky with Naruto's mood. When he confronted Barry, he punched him twice and kneed him in the groin, not to mention he punched Joe in the face. I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth, but I can't even begin to describe how bad I feel about everything, Cisco stated as Caitlin pushed a needle into his arm with greater force than usual. Ow. Good. Caitlin extracted some blood into a vial before stitching him up and scanning him. And you guys are going to have to do some serious butt kissing if Naruto ever forgives either of you. So, you never lost faith in him? Cisco inquired, and Caitlin simply looked at him. All you had to do was talk to Naruto to know he wasn't a bad person, Caitlin reminded him, making Cisco feel even worse. Naruto would actually die for any of them, and how was he rewarded for his devotion? Cisco and Barry have lost faith in him. The computer did a DNA test on Cisco's blood and confirmed he was a metahuman, proving Naruto's idea that his visions were caused by his powers, but what his powers were in their whole remained unknown. But they'd figure it out later, so the focus for now was on how to use Cisco's powers to focus on what was locked deep in his mind. What is Naruto's solution to this? A set of goggles. Well, really, ultra-frequency stimulant goggles, but you get the idea. Caitlin and Cisco were gathered around Naruto, who was finishing up the goggles. So, these things will allow me to see into my dreams? Cisco inquired. Basically, based on what you've told me about these visions of yours occurring at random points throughout the day, the chances of us triggering another one voluntarily are low, so we need to use another approach, Naruto replied. This got me thinking about an article Caitlin showed me when we were discussing one of Star Lab's possible new medical treatments. It's the same principle as lucid dreaming. I showed Naruto the article as another way to help him deal with post-traumatic stress disorder, Caitlin explained. Trauma, stress? Check and check, Cisco remarked. The theory is that it will allow people to enter their dreams objectively and face their fears. We're still working on the talking part, Caitlin explained. So, I figured that since the brain is more receptive to memory creation and storage during sleep, it's probably the best time to try and access your old, stored memories in your cortex and allow you to view them via lucid dreaming, Naruto said as he slid his soldering iron aside. The principle should work while you're asleep, and it will allow you to see what you remember. And you're sure this thing isn't going to mess with my brain? Cisco inquired. Oh, the amount of electricity required to stimulate lucid dreaming is probably harmless, Caitlin explained. Who's going to be lucid dreaming? They heard and saw Dr. Wells enter the cortex, which immediately alerted them, but they tried to play it off as best they could. We're just working on a new type of therapy treatment I'm hoping to start, Naruto explained, putting on his best usual face while masking his hurt and anger at the Dr. Wells imposter on the inside. Despite all of the medical treatments we're working on, such as cancer research, psychological and mental health are equally important, so we're trying to figure out how to help them. In addition, Lucid dreaming will enable doctors to assist their patients with their problems. Interesting, Dr. Wells said as he approached the goggles. Of course, you still need to guide the patient from the outside, right? Direct their attention to certain components of the dream. Cisco informed him, we're still working on a communications interface. When we dream, the middle brain becomes active, while the higher brain remains dormant. Once we find a way to activate both parts of the brain, it's just a matter of finding the right frequency that will stimulate the language center, Dr. Wells explained, working on the computer. The dreamer would then be able to speak, essentially describing their dreams to the therapist. Brilliant, Naruto said, wondering why he hadn't thought of that. I'd start with a frequency of 45 Hz, Dr. Wells advised. And I overlooked that in my research. Thank you very much, Dr. Wells, Naruto said. That's no problem, Naruto. Your mind never ceases to astound me. Continue your fine work, and let me know if you need anything, he added as he walked away, and Naruto's smile vanished as soon as he was out of sight. How is the man responsible for Barry's mother's murder, and who knows what else the same man we've been working with for over a year? Naruto thought to himself. Caitlin and Cisco could see he was having a serious internal conflict with this, and they couldn't blame them. He was the one who knew him the longest, and having learned what they did, I doubt there's anything that could be said to make that go away. Because they didn't want Dr. Wells to see them at Star Laboratories, the team convened later that night inside Barry's lab and set up some computers to monitor Cisco's vitals and everything while he underwent memory recovery. Okay, so run me through this again, Cisco said. You put on the goggles, fall asleep, and start dreaming. It's not that difficult, Caitlin said for the 10th time. Yeah, except I think I'm going to die in this dream. Will I perish in real life if I go back into it? I mean, what exactly are we discussing here? Is this dreamscape or inception? Cisco inquired, so Naruto drew an icer and shot him in the chest, causing everyone to jump in surprise and Cisco's body to thump upon the table. When Naruto observed the glances he was getting, he put the icer in his pocket and laid Cisco flat on the table before putting the goggles on his face. Did you shoot Cisco? Joe explained. He was babbling, so it was either a punch in the face or an icer shot to knock him out. Alright, the goggles are emitting a low-level delta wave, which is putting him into REM sleep, Naruto explained, activating the goggles so the lenses began to glow green. Caitlin attached some sensors to his vitals, which proved he was alright, and the monitors revealed he had entered REM slumber. Okay, we're good to go. Cisco, Barry said, checking to see if he could hear him. Cisco, can you hear me? You're hallucinating, mate. While they couldn't see what was going on, Cisco entered his lucid dream, which took the form of the Star Labs cortex. It was disorienting because he had never experienced anything like it before, but it worked and was insanely weird. Whoa. This is insane, Cisco exclaimed. Wait a minute, Naruto, you shot me. I did that. Now that we're even, focus. Naruto replied. Cisco, where are you in your nightmare? In the cortex? I mean, I know I'm only imagining myself in the cortex, but it feels so genuine. Cisco, this is your lucid dream memory, so everything you experienced in the past will feel real, but it's just a memory. Don't be concerned, Caitlin reassured him. What are you doing, Dream? Brian inquired. Caitlin just walked away. I requested that she take Wells to Jitters. How come you want Wells out of the lab? Barry was perplexed. I believe he tampered with my work. Okay, I'm walking to the trap room now, Cisco said as he followed his lucid dream memory. I adore this top. I assumed the dryer ate it. Joe laughed, but Naruto rolled his eyes and said, focus Cisco. Okay, Cisco said as he returned to the speedster trap he set up in December when they attempted to capture the reverse flash during the Takian incident. Now I'm running tests on the containment system. This information makes no sense. All of the supercapacitors were still completely charged. There's no reason the reverse flash should have gotten away. Oh my goodness. It was merely a hologram. He duped us. Wells has arrived. It's all a dream, Cisco. Caitlin reassured him, he can't hurt you. You better be right about that, Eobard Thawne, Cisco said. Thawne? What about Eddie Thawne? Joe inquired. Cisco said again, you killed Nora Allen. Nora? How about my mother? Brian inquired. He's confessing, Cisco said, and he didn't mean to kill her. Barry, it was you. He was attempting to murder you. When the sensors detected a jump in Cisco's vitals, they reported, his blood pressure is 200 and his heart rate is 147. He's losing higher brain function, guys. It's all a dream, Cisco. You're going to be fine, Caitlin assured him. His hand is trembling. He's going to murder me, Cisco screamed with terror. Get him there. Barry said as Naruto turned off the goggles and deactivated the program, jolting Cisco awake just in time. "Oh gosh. It felt so real," Cisco said. When his phone rang and he realized it was Dr. Wells, Naruto quoted Morpheus, "The mind makes it real." Wells. "Where are you, Naruto?" "What am I doing?" "I'm at the precinct," Naruto stated as they gazed at him. "I was assisting Barry on a case." "What's the problem?" "A massive fire has just erupted in New Brighton." Dr. Wells informed him of the Bradford Tower high-rise. "I'm on my way." Naruto Super sped out of the precinct and went to Star Labs to get his suit before rushing over to the building. The police and fire departments had arrived to form a perimeter, but the fire was on the 21st floor, so it wouldn't be easy. He blew past the officers and made his way up to the floor, where he was met with a raging inferno that covered the entire floor. "Well, the sprinklers aren't working, and this fire will spread quickly." "I know, just get everyone out of there," Dr. Wells said as Naruto proceeded to grab some people, only for a section of the roof to collapse and form a fire barrier he couldn't pass through, and the fire to spread more across the floor, effectively boxing him in. "Not going to work here. The fire has cornered me," Naruto explained. "Create a vacuum. Move your arms quickly enough to suck up all the oxygen and extinguish the flames, much as you would when creating wind funnels. You can do it, Naruto. I believe in you," Dr. Wells said. "Right. Hold your breath, everyone," Naruto shouted before taking a deep breath and beginning rotating his arms at super speed, much like when he created wind funnels, except they were moving fast enough to act as vacuums and sucked up all the oxygen, and with no oxygen, the fires quickly died and were extinguished. He then super accelerated everyone downstairs to the ground floor, where they were met by fire and ambulance personnel, before returning to Star Laboratories to put his suit away and change, sniffing his arm and smelling like smoke, indicating that he would need to shower. "Naruto," he said as he turned to see Dr. Wells enter the room, "are you all right? Tonight, around the fire, I swear you were hesitant and a little afraid. You'd think that after all the metahumans and criminals have faced, a building fire would be easy, but when I saw everyone trapped up there, it suddenly got real," Naruto stated as he sat down in a chair. It was a half-truth. He was saying it to fool Dr. Wells, but it was also somewhat true. "I realize now that I rushed in there thinking it would be a simple fire, only to have things quickly spiral out of control. I guess I forgot Oliver's and my own advice about not running into things blind. We all make mistakes, and given everything you've accomplished and how things turned out tonight, I believe you're entitled to a misstep or two," Dr. Wells chuckled. "But don't let this discourage you. As I've watched you grow up, I've learned a particularly important lesson that I'm sure your parents saw in you at a young age. The only thing standing in your way of achieving everything you want is you. As someone who's had the privilege of nurturing your talents at a young age, I can say with certainty that there is no limit to how strong you can be or how fast you will go. Everything that you need, you already have." "Thank you, Dr. Wells." Naruto approached the door then stopped and turned around. "You know, Dr. Wells, I couldn't have done any of this without you. Without you, I wouldn't be here." "I feel the same way about you, Naruto. Get some rest," Dr. Wells advised him as Naruto departed, but instead of returning home, he returned to the precinct where the others were still waiting. As Naruto stepped in and sat in a chair, they noted that he appeared unhappy and haunted. "Are you okay, Naruto?" Barry inquired, only to have him shake his head no. No, I'm not," Naruto murmured, exhausted and unsure how to feel. "I honestly don't know how to feel anymore. I look at him now and I know he killed your mother, Simon Stagg, and who knows what else he's done, but I can also see the man I knew growing up. The man who would come to my house for dinners, celebrations, and vacations. I mean, he was there for every single science fair trophy I won in high school and he practically made me the man I am today." "That's not true, Naruto. Everything you are is due to you and your parents, not Dr. Wells," Joe said, only for Naruto to shake his head. "You're wrong, Joe," he said flatly. "I told Linda that when I was a kid, I had a temper problem. I was hot-headed even as a baby, and my parents say I was a handful, but believe me, I was a monster. That's why I started my pranking phrase as something to help mitigate me from doing something a lot worse. But what no one knows is that all that pranking and rebelliousness was just my way of acting out." "Acting out?" Caitlin inquired. Naruto explained, "My way of dealing with my own insecurities about my intelligence when I was a kid. Hartley wasn't wrong in that my intelligence was an unfair advantage, but it didn't start out like that. In elementary school, I was barely smarter than the other kids in my grade, practically below them at multiple points, and I almost had to repeat the second grade on multiple occasions. My parents were some of the greatest minds in the country and their son was an idiot. They told that it didn't matter, I wasn't as smart as they were and that things would get better, but as I was getting ready for middle school, I started to lose hope that they were right. So, I almost gave up on science altogether. I was prepared to make myself into someone else when Dr. Wells realized I was having so much trouble and personally tutored me from that point forward. He helped me get my wild side under control and dedicated himself to tutoring and teaching me when my parents were busy. He's the one who told me what science is really about and how it was about helping mankind achieve something better than what we've come to accept as normal, and despite what people might say about us or our methods, history remembers us as heroes. It was after that, I changed into who I am now. With Dr. Wells' tutoring, I picked up science a lot easier and everything else is history. Joe, despite what you might say, I know for a fact that the person I am now is because of Dr. Wells. If the internal battle and utter torment Naruto was going through after learning of the Dr. Wells reverse flash revelation was still a mystery to the rest of the gang, it was now revealed. While the acts of the reverse flash altered Barry's life, they also altered Naruto's. Perhaps there was more to the two than being speedsters and crime-fighting companions. They could be extreme opposites at times, like two sides of the same coin, but perhaps their differences are what complement their teamwork and make them the heroes of mythology that Gideon predicted. Something connected the two, and they would soon discover that it connected many others they would meet in the future, but that's for another time. For the time being, their focus was still on the reverse flash. So, what do we do? Cisco thought as Naruto wiped away a tear and muffled a whimper. We nail his $1 and take him down, he stated emphatically. Naruto is correct. We now know enough that I believe we have a plan, Barry stated. Wells confessed to everything in Cisco's dream. If we recreate those circumstances, he'll do it again. I don't like it, Bar. Interrogating and arresting suspects is my job. I'm the cop, Joe explained. No, if this is going to work, it has to be with someone with whom Dr. Wells will relax his guard, and in Cisco's dream, it worked with just him, Barry pointed out. Alright, but if we're going to do this, we'll have to do a better job protecting Cisco than I did protecting you, Joe added, leaving Barry puzzled. This is all my fault, Barry. I should never have let Wells take you from the hospital. None of this would have happened. I'd be dead if you hadn't let him take me, Barry pointed out. But even then, I could tell something wasn't right, Joe explained. Everything in my gut told me not to trust him, but I did because I needed to see you okay. If you think that, Joe, you're even more of a moron than I thought, Naruto stated flatly. You really thought that if you just said no to the fake Wells, this would be over? What, you think he would have listened to you just because you're a smart detective and a police officer? Need I remind you of what he did to those officers when we tried to capture him during Christmas? Or pretty much everyone else who has gotten in his way? He would have just killed you anyway to get what he wants, which is Barry and I? Every bad thing in our lives is because of him, and we're going to bring him to justice, Barry assured them all. XXXXX line break the next day, the team, together with Eddie and Linda, convened in the trap room where they initially attempted to capture the reverse flash around Christmas. They needed to use this area again as part of their new plan. Cisco demonstrated the reverse flash hologram that the energy field projected when activated. They couldn't believe it even after seeing it with their own eyes. At least this explains how Dr. Wells was able to help us with our holographic projection workspace so quickly. He had an advanced version, Naruto said as everyone viewed the hologram reverse flash. So, Wells staged a phony showdown with a phony opponent who was never really there, Eddie explained. He thought seeing both of them together would prove he wasn't the reverse flash, Barry explained. It just keeps getting crazier and crazier, Eddie grumbled. Cisco turned off the hologram just as Caitlin entered the elevator. I just spoke with Dr. Wells, he's going to a lecture downtown and won't be back until 5 p.m. Alright, Cisco, you know when he gets here you need to be working on the trap so he sees you set off the hologram, Barry ordered. Wait a minute, wasn't that in your dream when everything went all? Cisco stated, Kali Ma, Temple of Doom. Yeah, that definitely happened. But this time, I'm prepared. We originally designed the force field to keep speedsters out, but I reversed it, and it now won't let one in. He triggered the force field by pressing a button on his phone before motioning for Naruto and Barry to attack him. Naruto told him, I'm not doing it. Back up, Barry urged as everyone took a few steps back to allow him some breathing room. He took a deep breath before bursting forward, only to be thrown headfirst into a tool cart with a loud crash by the barrier. Ha! Oh, that was good, Naruto murmured, masking Linda's smirk. It works, Barry muttered as Joe assisted him in getting back to his feet. Okay, as long as I'm inside, Wells won't be able to get near me. Caitlin said, and I'll be in the cortex, watching and recording everything that happens. Once he makes that confession, Linda will blast him with light in the face, and Naruto and I will be ready to take him down, Barry said. Do you think you guys can handle him? I mean, no offense, but the last time it didn't go so well, and that was 2 of you against 1 of him, Joe said. True, which is why I set this up last night. Naruto approached the containment field's control console and lifted a metal panel to show a high-tech lighting blue-purple generator. The first ever metahuman power dampening generator, based on the same principle as the metahuman power dampening cuffs but larger, emits the same energy that neutralizes metahuman powers when turned on. When Naruto turned it on for a test, it began to emanate the same light as the power dampening cuffs. Barry and Linda attempted to use their powers, but they were ineffective. Nice work, Barry commented. It's not perfect. It'll only affect about a 10-foot radius, which is why I had to put it so close to the force field, Naruto explained. But if the reverse flash tries anything, I activate this before we take him down. His speed will be gone, and we'll have the element of surprise. So, what should I do? Eddie inquired. Wells also threatened Iris, Joe explained. If something goes wrong here, we need you to keep an eye on her until Wells is neutralized. Before leaving, Eddie remarked, I'll always keep Iris safe, Joe. Eddie's statement had a not so subtle connotation, which garnered a weird look from Joe, so Barry motioned him to the corridor. Meet me in the hall. We need to talk, Barry said as Naruto kissed Linda on the cheek before walking over to the power dampening generator to triple check that it was working properly. Hey, Linda, can we just talk for a minute? What? She questioned, scanning her phone's inbox. I just wanted to thank you for doing this. I know it's dangerous, but it means a lot to me, Barry said. Yeah, well, Naruto asked for my assistance, and I'd gladly do it for him, Linda said before slapping him across the face with her right palm. And you deserved that. Yeah, I did, Barry said. As she left to finish some work, he gripped his stinging cheek while Barry and Joe went to talk to Eddie about whatever they wanted to talk about. Caitlin approached Naruto, who was wrapping up his inspection of the generator. So, are you ready for this? Honestly, I'm not sure what my answer should be. I just want answers. And to punch his face repeatedly until it turns to goo, or at the very least break his leg, Naruto explained. Caitlin remarked, well, hopefully things go our way tonight. They better hurry or things will only get worse, Naruto said. Hours later, Dr. Wells entered the brain after his lecture to find Caitlin working in the medical lab. Hello, Dr. Wells. How was your lecture? Oh, boring, tedious, Caitlin chuckled, platitudinous. Wells said, couldn't have said it better myself. Where is everyone? Oh, well, Naruto is on a date with Linda, and Barry is at CCPD working on a case, Caitlin explained. And Cisco is over in the force field lab, where he believes he has finally figured out what went wrong at Christmas, when we were attempting to capture the reverse flash. Yes, I remember that night. Did he tell you what he discovered? Caitlin said, nope, just that it was important. Good for Cisco. I'll wheel down there and see what he's got, replied Dr. Wells. Caitlin said as Dr. Wells exited the cortex, okay. She triggered the computer's microphone once he was out of earshot. Here he comes. Dr. Wells had gone down the corridor and turned a corner before coming to a halt. He took off his glasses and sighed deeply as he touched his brow. He appeared to be thinking something over in his head before making his decision. Cisco was standing in front of the force field trap in the force field lab, with the reverse flash hologram running. Dr. Wells emerged from the elevators, sans wheelchair or glasses. Hello, Cisco, Wells responded in a tone similar to the one he remembered. Cisco was internally panicking but doing his best to remain calm. Don't worry, Cisco, Cisco heard through his earpiece, which was buried deep in his left ear. Naruto and Linda were hidden behind some gas tanks in the distant corner with Joe and Barry, keeping an eye on everything. Joe had his hand near his rifle, Naruto had his repulsor gauntlets on, and Linda had her mask, shield and gloves ready. Just stick to the plan. We'll be right there. Wells stepped forward and clapped his hands a few times. You've been busy. Chuckles. I've always said you're incredibly clever, Cisco. You're him, the reverse flash. Joe was correct all along, wasn't he? Good old Joe, Wells said as he strolled over to the desk and closed Cisco's laptop as he remembered. Joe West has had his doubts all along. Even from that fight night in the hospital, Joe knew something wasn't right. Cops, as inconvenient now as they will be in 100 years. You murdered Barry's mother, Cisco stated. I want to know why. It was never my intention to kill Nora, but from my perspective, she was already dead. It just happened sooner than it should have, Wells explained as he took a few steps forward and Cisco took a few steps back. Joe shook his head as Barry gazed at him. That wasn't the confession they were looking for. Cisco continued to move backwards and tripped over the force field platform. Oops. You're not going to get away with this, Cisco warned. I'm not gonna get away with it, Wells remarked as Cisco activated the force field. Everyone believed they had Wells cornered, but all they got was a grin from him. Something was wrong. Oh, you're smart, Cisco, Wells said as he took one step forward and passed through the force field, but you're not that smart. That's not possible, Naruto said quietly, swiftly pulling out his phone and triggering the power dampening generator, which was not responding for some reason. He tried again and again, but it didn't work for some reason. Come on, come on, come on. Naruto, turn off his powers, Joe pleaded. It's not working, something's interfering with the signal. Linda and Joe decided to take action when they noticed Wells getting closer to Cisco. They emerged from behind the gas tanks, Linda firing a light blast that temporarily blinded Wells, and Joe aiming his gun and firing 3 rounds. No. Barry accelerated forward, grabbing 2 shots in midair before colliding with the barrier and being thrown back. The 3rd gunshot struck Wells in the chest, sending him to the ground. He didn't confess, Barry said as Caitlin entered the elevator. Cisco, are you alright? She inquired. Yeah, but I'll never sleep again. Caitlin bent down to check Wells' pulse but found none. He's dead. He didn't confess. Joe, this was it. My dad's going to be in prison for the rest of his life, Barry said. Barry, I'm sorry. Naruto wasn't sure what to think as he stared at Wells's body, but when the initial shock wore off, something felt odd. Wells is the reverse Flash, and he's faster than both he and Barry, so how come the bullet from Joe's Glock killed him? And how does that add up when the power dampening generator was not working? Naruto took out his phone, opened the dampening generator program, and searched for signal interference. After a few seconds, the scan revealed that it was coming from within the room, just a few feet from the generator. He took a chance and went through Wells' pockets. Naruto, what exactly are you doing? Joe inquired as Naruto took a little high-tech device no larger than a quarter from his pocket. What exactly is that? When Naruto stood on the piece of technology, the signal disturbance vanished. It was a signal jammer. It was keeping me from turning on the generator. How could Wells have? Whoa. Cisco was severed as Wells' body changed into Hannibal Bates. What the hell? Bates. Naruto exclaimed aloud as he comprehended what had just occurred. It was all set up. You are correct, Naruto. Very intelligent, but not quite clever enough. They could hear it over the loudspeakers, and I've told you before, I'm always a step ahead. Flash. Allow me to reacquaint you with Mr. Hannibal Bates and his amazing ability to morph into whomever he touches. I knew that ability would come in helpful at some point. I didn't anticipate it to come in handy so quickly. Everything else fell into place after a quick stop at the police station. You made use of him, as if you'd used all of us, Barry yelled. Well, he did his job. It didn't take much convincing when I got him out of jail. Wells said. However, I was very impressed with the trap. You almost had me, Naruto, but as intelligent as you are. Remember who taught you everything you know? Well, you didn't teach me everything, so it's accurate. Wells, how could you do this? I have faith in you. We all had faith in you. To me, you were like family. My dear parents. Why? Naruto yelled, demanding answers. All you've done has ruined our lives. Every one of our lives. I understand how difficult this is for you, Naruto, and I sincerely apologize. But believe me when I say that everything in your lives, especially yours, Naruto, has improved because of what I've done for you. You no longer have to disguise who you are. We all know you aren't Harrison Wells. Just tell us your name, Joe yelled. A confession isn't going to get you anywhere, detective. You know who I am. You know what I'm capable of. If you want to murder me, go ahead. I'm not going to argue with you. But tell the cops what you did. Get my father out of jail, Barry pleaded. I'm not going to murder you, Barry. I require your assistance. I'm still working on plans for you and Naruto. Face us now, coward. Let's put an end to this, Naruto yelled. Oh, we'll have to face each other again. I swear to you, boys. Soon. Soon, very soon. Cisco's cell phone beeped as the tracker he had placed on Wells' wheelchair detected a signal. He's gone into the time vault. Cisco bolted as soon as he completed that phrase. Barry. Naruto was close following, and they arrived at the time vault to find Wells' wheelchair, the reverse Flash outfit gone, and Gideon projecting numerous recorded camera feeds from all across the city. Star Laboratories, Barry's house, the shelter, and CCPD. Wells has been keeping an eye on them for quite some time. It was all a ruse. We thought we had created a trap for him, but he had set one for us. He was teasing us. When Barry noticed that many of the camera feeds contained footage of Iris, Naruto mumbled. Oh my goodness. Iris. They sped back to the cortex, passing the others as they grabbed their suits. We need to find Iris. Wells has been keeping an eye on us. He has surveillance cameras set up all over the place. Our houses are all over here, as is my lab at the police station. Picture news from Central City. Call us when you find a location, Cisco. When Cisco tracked down her location to the walking bridge outside Central City Stadium, Barry and Naruto hurried out of the lab brain in a hurry. They rushed there as quickly as they could, but when they got close, Wells simply sped away while carrying Eddie. Naruto raced after them after Barry paused to soothe Iris. They raced around the city, and despite Naruto's recent speed boost, which made him quicker than previously, Wells was still faster. Wells was leading Naruto on a wild goose chase through the city, which was starting to irritate him. He launched repulsor blast after repulsor blast, but Wells evaded them at every step, necessitating a new approach. Barry quickly joined the chase, which gave him an idea: keep chasing after him. While Barry pursued Wells throughout the city, Naruto turned onto a street and began heading west. They were nearing downtown and making their way along Main Street when Naruto appeared from the opposite direction, going directly for them. He vibrated his fists and prepared to fight, but as he got closer, Wells vibrated his and Eddie's bodies and passed right past Naruto. The near proximity ended with Naruto and Barry colliding and tumbling on the concrete until they were halted by a parked automobile. They swiftly sprang to their feet, but Wells and Eddie were vanished. Where have they gone? Barry yelled. Shit. In desperation, Naruto slammed his fist into the parked car, denting the hood, before the two took off in various directions to try to find them. If only they understood how ineffective that would be. Wells would only be found if he wanted to be, which wasn't the case right now. Wells entered a secret room he had prepared ahead of time for instances like this, and where he would remain until the next stage of his plan was completed. He threw Detective Thawne to the ground, who was worried but trying to hide it as best he could. You might as well remove that mask. Wells, I know it's you, or whoever you are in reality, Eddie stated. Well, please allow me to introduce myself. Wells came to a halt and removed his mask. Hello, my name is Eobird. Thawne, Eobird. I'm not sure what you mean. How come you have my name? Eddie inquired. Why? Eobird repeated as he examined Eddie's engagement ring in his pocket. Well, 'cause we're family, Eddie. Funny, I haven't seen you at any reunions or weddings. Eddie said something that made Eobird laugh. That's amusing. And the reason for this is that I haven't been born yet in terms of those guest lists. So that's why you didn't kill me at Star Labs that night. This entire thing has been about me? Eddie inquired. Not at all. You are simply my insurance, my friend. Eobird informed him. I have big plans. Dot and I don't want them ruined by a stupid coincidence. So sit tight and keep quiet. Naruto and Barry returned to the center after searching the entire city, where the mood was gloomy. While Barry paced back and forth, Naruto sat in a chair, mulling things over in his brain. Anything for Cisco? Barry inquired, hoping. No, guy. There is nothing on the satellites. Eddie and Wells might be anywhere. Cisco informed him. So, what are we going to do? Linda inquired. We're still looking for him. We'll track down Wells and Eddie. They had to be in the city somewhere. Joe informed them. We'll find him. I don't think so. As they all stared at him, Naruto murmured. I'm not sure if you've been paying attention, Joe, but our losses are now greater than our wins. Wells has had us playing catch up the entire time, and just when we think we're getting close, he switches to a completely different game. We've gone back to square one. Are you just going to give up? As Naruto stood up, Barry inquired. I never said that, but we must be realistic about our options and chances. The only reason none of us are dead right now is that he still requires our services for whatever he has planned. Naruto reminded him of this. So, we find him and stop his plans before then, Cisco stated. Do you think it'll be that simple? Cisco is a man from the future. He's been spying on us for over a year, and who knows how long he's been plotting whatever it is. Do you honestly believe there will be a single scheme we can devise that he hasn't already figured out how to counter? Naruto brought this up. I'm prepared to fight him tooth and nail to end this, but I'm not naive enough to believe it'll be easy. If Wells is going to appear, it will be on his terms. So, then, what do we do? Caitlin was perplexed. That's all we can do. We wait, bide our time, and prepare as best we can so that when he returns, we'll be somewhat prepared for whatever he has in store. Naruto responded. The only silver lining in all of this is that Wells clearly needs us and Eddie to be alive for something. What exactly do you mean, he needs Eddie? Joe inquired. Wells abducted Eddie instead of executing him right away. He requires him for something, and I have an idea what it is. I'll go investigate and see if I can discover some answers. Naruto moved over to the entrance, and Barry followed. I'd rather do this alone, Barry. You don't need help. Barry was perplexed. No, I'll be just fine. Naruto muttered as Barry sighed heavily. Naruto, look, I know we haven't really had a chance to talk about this, so let's just do it now. He told him, causing Naruto to pause before departing. I can't say or do anything to make up for what Joe and I did. You've been on our side for nearly a year, and I should have trusted you like Caitlin did. It's all right, Barry. I understand. Naruto spoke to him in a relatively calm and impartial tone. Excuse me. Linda stated aloud. I see what you're saying. After giving it some thought, I can see why you and Joe were concerned about my allegiance considering how close I was to Dr. Wells. You had to be cautious, and you couldn't take any chances. I see what you're saying, Naruto stated. So, you forgive Barry and I? Joe inquired. I didn't say that specifically, but basically. Naruto simply told them. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Cisco murmured something. But that doesn't mean we can go back to the old ways. Not at all. Simply because I understand why you did what you did does not mean that everything is okay. Naruto informed them. You have lost faith in me. I've battled by your side both inside and outside of the mask. I would give my life for this squad, but you lost faith in me, which I cannot forgive. Naruto, we're sorry. Barry informed him. Well, save your apologies because this isn't something you can fix just by saying sorry. Naruto stated. In terms of our professional relationship, nothing has changed. I will assist you in finding Dr. Wells, stopping him, and freeing your father to the best of my ability. But in terms of our personal lives, you and I are done. Naruto, Barry exclaimed. We're all done. He exited the cortex, leaving the team stunned as to what had just occurred. Oh man. Barry snatched his brow and sighed deeply. Naruto walked through the Star Labs till he reached the Time Vault corridor. He entered the vault by pressing the wall switch and making his way over to the console. He activated Gideon by placing his palm over it. Good day, Naruto. Nice to see you again. In the same way, Gideon. Dr. Wells departed Star Labs. Do you think you can tell me where he is or what he's up to? Naruto inquired. I'm afraid that's not going to happen. As a precaution, Dr. Wells erased my knowledge of his plans before leaving. He anticipated your need for assistance and acted accordingly. Gideon informed him. Damn it. I was praying for the best, Naruto thought to himself. Is there anything else I can do for you? I have a large library and a lot of information about star laboratories, metahumans, and other topics relating to your adventures. Gideon informed him. Do you have any information about the Reverse Flash? Naruto was perplexed. Yes, I have extensive files on the Reverse Flash, also known as Eobird Thon. What do you want to know? Gideon inquired. Everything. Naruto informed her. Tell me absolutely everything, Gideon. To be continued.
That's it for this podcast. Thanks for listening to this video. If you did enjoy this part of the story, like, share, and subscribe for more. And thank you all for helping support. And have a great day.